Hey everybody, we're back. A new episode of Five for Talk. I'm here with Caps, the captain of the show, and today we're talking about bold predictions for the 2024-2025 season. I got three team predictions, three player predictions. So does he. I have a couple extra I didn't tell him about. We'll throw them out there. We'll go through this. Try to keep this episode short. Not all of them are going to be insane, but I do think they're predictions that at least at the immediate level of where we're at leading into the season, no one's going to be like thinking that immediately in the top of their head, immediately. Caps, you go first.
What do you want to do? Players first or teams first?
Let's do teams.
One at a time or just
Do
do all
one,
three?
I'll do one.
For teams, Nashville um, finishes at near the top. That's my take for sorry, New Jersey. Excuse me. What did I say?
It's in Nashville.
Oh, okay. You know what? I just said both of them right now. So
All right,
Nashville
you
and
got
New
two.
Jersey finish near the top.
Of the league or the conference?
Um, their divisions. All
All
right.
right. I'll take that a step further and not count this. I think Nashville is going to be one of the best teams in the NHL next year.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'll rattle off two for you. I think the Tampa Bay Lightning get nowhere near making a play at the playoffs. Um, that's one. And I'll package deal one as well. I think Washington and Ottawa both make the playoffs. Washington makes it again, and Ottawa gets the other playoff spot. I think, not to say that your New Jersey thing is going to be wrong, but I think maybe they steal the Islanders spot
Mm-hmm.
and the Islanders also drop off. But I don't think saying the Islanders won't make the playoff is very bold. I think I don't think Tampa. I think Tampa Bay finishes near the bottom. I think Tampa Bay sucks next year.
All
They
right.
lost
Let's see
so
what
many
happens.
players and they resigned. They got Jake Gensel.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
But yeah, I think Ottawa makes the playoffs. I think that's a pretty bold one.
I mean,
Uh,
just takes. I'm not going to argue against you or anything like
yeah,
that.
no,
Or
no,
yeah,
no. And I
just takes.
think I think Washington makes the playoffs again. I really like the moves that Washington made, and I
Mm.
think uh I have a side note for that later. So go. You want to give me your last one?
Yeah, sure. If Langeskog comes back next year, Colorado wins the cup.
Ooh, okay. I like that. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Um. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the West for this one.
Okay.
The Vegas Golden Knights don't make the playoffs. Their team has been absolutely torn apart in this free agency.
Um.
They lost Thompson, they lost Marchessault, they lost Alec Martinez, they lost Stevenson.
Yeah, they gave up a lot of players. They still got a lot of players. So
They have no goalie, basically.
come on, Samsonov.
Yeah.
But it'll. Yeah. I mean, hey, we'll see what happens.
I think it's a shocker, right? That's a bold prediction. Like who's
A
thinking
bold
that,
prediction.
right? Um, yeah, also I said this before, I know this doesn't count, but I think there's a shot Calgary Flames finish in last place. I know you don't think so.
I mean, it's not a shocking take for me. I just feel as though that Anaheim and San Jose have not done enough to be better than Calgary.
That's fair.
I mean,
Um,
I just think that those two, you know, they 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 really haven't done enough.
I'll
They haven't
float
done enough.
another one out there. And I know they don't have a goalie, but I'll float it out there. I think the Montreal Canadiens move up significantly in the standings. They don't make the playoffs, but I think they surprise everybody.
Yeah, no, I mean, they always put in a very good effort. I mean, just watching them last year, they play well. They just need time to develop. I think they become a very good team um, at some point, but I don't think they're there just yet. I think next year is when we start having serious conversations about the Montreal Canadiens. Um, sorry, the year after. But next year, I don't think they're there just yet.
Okay, that's fair.
But we've said that many times about the Ottawa Senators. But
Hey,
let's
and I
see what
say the
happens
Ottawa
next year.
Senators are going to make the playoffs every year,
Yeah,
and they never do.
yeah, and rightly so. They have the team to do it. But
I
you
think
know,
this year the team that they have is a lot better than what they've had. Like they're building smarter now and not just like throwing things into the mix.
yeah. But man, they got to compete with a lot of those teams in the East. It's going to be very, very tough next year. Very tough. Um, but hey, let's see what happens.
All right, let's talk about some players. You want to go first?
Sure. Markstrom, I believe, will be in the running for a Vezina.
Playing on the Devils.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just want to
I
make sure
said it.
everybody knows that.
I said it.
That's not the most terrible thing I've ever heard. I will
Thanks.
match you. I will match you on that one, and I say UC Saros is in the top for running for the Vesna.
I mean, that's more expected. Like that is, that's he. He almost like he not in the running for Vezina last year.
He might have been. I don't remember for sure. This year he wasn't, but they're just they're a middling team at this point. That's like yeah they make the playoffs, but like they're nothing special. So if that's not that bold, I'll give you another one. Connor Bedard is going to pass 100 points playing on a line with Taylor Hall and Tyler Bertuzzi.
Interesting.
I see it. I think next year is the one for him where we really like he had a good year this year, but it was like 68 points in 61 games or the opposite of that.
I mean, it takes time. Yeah, first
Yeah.
year. I mean,
I think they
um,
made a lot of good moves. All right, you want to hit me with another one?
sure. I mean, Joe Quenville got reinstated today. I believe he gets a coaching job within the first few months.
Give me throw me out a team.
Ottawa Senators.
Wow. Okay, I'll take that because that only made
I just
reinforces
made that up right on the spot.
reinforces my playoff run.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, okay. I like that. I got one. William Nylander scores 50 goals.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, he doesn't like that one. No.
I don't know.
Hey, I don't care what you think. What's your next one?
You know what? I'd like to go back to the Joe Quenville thing.
Go back.
Either Ottawa or Winnipeg.
Okay.
All right. Sorry. All right. So I talked about Quenville, Markstrom. This is the last one. Uh, I feel as though Crosby is not happy with what's going on in Pittsburgh, and I feel like this is just to shock people. I think he asked for a trade at some point, or I think he does not come back as a Pittsburgh Penguin.
Yeah, I see that, and I see a really good trade in the mix. John Tavares for Sidney Crosby.
He'll never go to the Leafs.
John
I
Tavares
see
and
him. I
10
see
first
him
rounders.
going to Montreal more so than the Leafs.
I
I
mean,
see him at some point taking a pay cut to go to Colorado and playing with his buddy McKinnon, if anything.
what if he
But
takes a pay cut?
I no, I seriously, I think he does
No.
take a pay cut to
What if he
go
takes a
to
pay
Colorado.
cut
To
to play center on Alex Ovechkin's line?
No, it's not happening.
What? Come on, you killing me. Have this one?
I
Crosby
don't think so.
Ovechkin?
I think he wants to go to a cup contender.
Crosby and Ovechkin.
I think he wants to go to a cup contender.
What if they have a this is my bold prediction. Crosby goes to Washington, they go on a run, they win the cup.
No.
All right. That's not I won't do that. Okay, I guess I don't know if this is bold. I don't know if any of mine were bold. I think Nathan McKinnon wins MVP again.
Yeah, man, I wouldn't be surprised, man. Like I had a heck of a year, and the team will be just as good, if not maybe better, because I think just Makar just gets better. Ranton is just so consistent, and um, yeah, McKinnon is just awesome. But if Langscog comes back next year, and obviously he would have to get back into shape because what he went through was pretty serious, but it just makes that team that much better. And hey, I would not be surprised. I really would not be surprised.
Here, I got one. This we're done already, but I'm just gonna throw one out there.
Yeah, we're having fun with this. This is our takes. I mean, whatever.
Next year, Alex Ovechkin throws together a retro season and passes the record. He scores 45 goals.
That's all he needs.
Yeah.
That's all he needs, right?
I'm pretty sure it's 44 is to tie, I think, and 45 beats it. I think he throws together like an 80-point season where like where did this come from? And he scores 45 goals.
Um, I mean, yeah, it's definitely
I really
possible.
like the trades that they made.
It's definitely possible.
And their draft was pretty solid, Washington.
But that player would not be playing on the team next year, would he? Like, yeah.
Depends.
I mean,
If you're like a Macklin Celebrini, you're going to be playing next season.
let's see what happens. I don't know.
Let's see what happens. That's all I have. You have anything else?
Um, I'm just trying to think about all the teams that we discussed before. You know what? I think Chicago battles for a playoff spot next year.
That's a good one. I
Uh,
can't disagree with you.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. I think you're going to see a lot more competition next year because
Oh yeah.
just a lot of teams just got better.
And a lot of those
Over,
rebuilding teams finally got the pieces they need.
yeah, and a lot of those top teams got a little bit worse.
Well, that's because I was
So
thinking about it today. When you're like the Stars or whatever, you pick people up in the trade deadline that have 1 or 2 years left. So after their first run, and now this is the second year, all those big names are starting to come off the books. And to re-sign them, you're not doing that. And no one's holding half of the contract for you anymore, right?
yeah.
So you start to slowly lose people. That's what's happening with Vegas. Vegas is going to look like half the team, in my opinion, that they used to. A good one here is that I think maybe Winnipeg also doesn't make the playoffs.
um, when I look around the West, I still think they're good enough to make the playoffs because I just don't think they're there's a lot of teams that are just I don't even know if LA makes the playoffs next year. The LA Kings. I mean, it was just so disappointing to see what they did last year. Like they were so up and down, so inconsistent, and
Yeah.
you and um what's his character's name? What's his Anthony's
Fargo?
Fargo? Are so high up on LA, rightfully so, because on paper they got a really good team.
Mhm.
Um, and it was just so disappointing to see last year because they should have done much better than what they did. But it's going to be a lot more competitive, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Uh,
and you know what? Why don't I really think about it? Like I do think Vegas is not going to make the playoffs. I do truly believe that. But when you look at the West, what you're saying it kind of makes sense because like all of the teams on the cusp are not very good. Like the best 8 teams clearly made the playoffs. Do you know what I mean?
oh yeah.
Like maybe St. Louis or maybe Minnesota squeaks out a spot, but like I don't see the Kraken or the Flames or the Coyotes or the Ducks or the Blackhawks or the Sharks making the playoffs. Maybe the Blackhawks, maybe the Utah has a crazy season and makes it, and like maybe Seattle does. But the thing is, those are all so questionable if they will. Where when you look at the West, it's like, I mean, Pittsburgh could make it, Philadelphia could make it, Buffalo could make it, New Jersey could make it, the Senators could make it.
The East.
Did I say West?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all right.
The
It's
the
all right.
East the East has like six plausible teams that could make the
Yeah.
playoffs. The West is like the best case scenarios have to happen for any of those outside of the playoff teams to make the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, the West, like the teams that are expected to make it are the ones that are going to be making it.
Yeah.
Like your Dallases, your Nashvilles, your Colorados.
But
Um,
Vegas barely made it in last year. And I think with all the loss that they've had this year, this is it.
well, remember what they did last year, eh? I mean, their top players, they told them to, like, you know what, just take a couple months off while we try and get these other players and, come back when game one of the playoffs.
Yeah, we got our
You know,
captain back literally like when the playoffs start.
um, but yeah, I mean, it'll be very interesting next year and it's going to be very competitive and looking forward to it.
Yep. All right, guys, let us know your bold predictions in the comment section and have a good night.